You're listening to Hustle and Heart, Defining Success on Your Own Terms, a podcast for the dreamers and go-getters who are building something real and refuse to leave the most important parts of themselves behind while they do it. I'm Vanessa, a brand strategist, founder, and your host. I sit down with women doing the kind of work that doesn't always make it onto the highlight reel, but absolutely should. This is where we have that conversation. Let's get into it. What does it look like to build a life that most people only dream about and then turn that life into a business? Romina didn't wait for permission. She didn't follow a blueprint. She spent 20 years moving through film, TV, and digital media, racking up millions of views, visiting 80 plus countries and multiple six-figure businesses, all while doing it completely on her own terms. She's an award-winning filmmaker, a published author, a public speaker, a brand partner to names like Toyota, maybe you heard of them, Merrell and Coca-Cola. And right now, she's live streaming every single day to thousands of viewers while building CreateIRL, an events platform designed to bring content creators together to actually learn from each other and grow. Romina isn't just creating content, people. She's been engineering a creative career and a life of freedom at the same time for over 2 decades. Today, we're getting into all of it. What it really takes to get paid as a creator, how to build a business around the life you want instead of the other way around, and why the creator economy is still one of the most misunderstood opportunities out there. Welcome to Hustle and Heart, Romina.
Wow, what an intro.
I was like, are we on mute?
No, I didn't want to, I didn't want my breathing to like interrupt the flow because that was like magic. I was like watching you work and I was like, yes, yes. I'm just like, you know what? I think I'm just going to have her like hype everybody up. I'm just going to have you like show up whenever I have to go somewhere, like even the grocery store. I'm just going to have you be like, excuse me, everybody at Whole Foods. I want everyone to know.
Mic check, everybody.
Everybody in aisle 5, please pay attention.
Well, I'm glad you feel welcome because you absolutely are. I'm super honored. Your resume is insane and you have so much life. You've done so much, 20 years. Do you want to talk about that? How did that start for you?
You know, I think that it's tough to answer that question because I feel like it started in the womb.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to have a mom who loved to travel, she's very strong, she's independent, and she's a businesswoman. But also she complements my father so well because he's an artist, he's creative, very hands-on, he's a problem solver. And I think that the combination of the two of them created like this kind of I guess this disposition to just follow my own path and create my own way, and a refusal to follow any other predisposed notion of like what life is supposed to be like, what your career is supposed to be like. And so I mean, going back, like rewinding, I always knew that I wanted to work in film in some capacity because I love movies. My father instilled that love in me from a very early age. I was always obsessed with movies. We went to the movies together. This was like the father-daughter bonding activity. And he taught me so much of what I knew about film before I even got into the industry. So once I got there, I felt like I was very much a part of it because of the culture. And at the same time, YouTube came out when I was starting my career as a filmmaker and as an actor. YouTube came out, and so this was a way for me to post all of the things that I was creating. And before that, I had never had a platform for any of that stuff. And so I was creating, I was doing video stuff, I was doing photography. I was also I started my production company back then, so I produced my first feature film at the age of 19. It was chaotic, but I did it, so I'm super proud. It's definitely a lot of combining both what I grew up with, my passion, and then also the opportunities that presented themselves along the way as the industry evolved and social media started to climb.
That's awesome. So it's basically divine timing in all the ways. Your interests, your natural born talents, and just the explosion, not explosion, but just like the existence of YouTube. YouTube is so
Yeah, the
powerful.
development. Yeah, it is powerful. It's given me so many amazing opportunities, like speaking opportunities. It's also given me, I guess, it gave me a lot of like who I am, like my identity in terms of like meeting the right people, making the right friends, meeting people who were interested in the same things that I am. It also allowed me so many opportunities to travel the world and get to experience things that maybe I otherwise wouldn't have experienced if I was just traveling by myself, like without the support of like a YouTube community and like an audience.
Yeah.
And lastly, I think one of the greatest things that's come out of it is the fact that I met my husband because he's also a content creator. And so we met because we were in the same kind of community and industry and we had like the same friends and colleagues. And so that's how we met. And so now I'm married, your girl got hitched. So it's all good opportunities and I'm really happy about everything that's come out of YouTube. It's definitely been as the song outlines, it's a long and winding road. It's
Yeah, it
definitely
is.
not a linear path, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
So, from what point or how did you go from someone who makes content into a businesswoman traveling the world, making six figures in multi businesses? How did that happen?
I think it was because first and foremost, I describe myself as being creative. Secondly, well, to piggyback off of that, I like to solve problems. And so, because of that, I had to be very innovative with my own problems that I was presented with. And so, I developed solutions to those problems. And as such, I offered them as services. So, I think that's like number one. And then number two, I would say going back to my mom being very business oriented, like entre- entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
I was like Nemo, like anemone. Yeah, because she was very entrepreneurial and I grew up around that kind of environment, I think I always had this idea that if there was a problem, I just had to find a way to solve it. And eventually that led to realizing that other people needed the same problem solved. So I've had multiple businesses over the years, including a photography business, also the film production company that I mentioned before. And then I also had a professional organizing business for a few years, which was mentally and emotionally draining because I learned that I love organizing. I like to declutter. I like to have everything in its place, but it's very challenging to work with other people through that. You know, you're dealing with a lot of emotions and people get certain attachment to things. And so it was just very difficult for me to scale that business and develop it because of that. It was just like it was emotionally draining. But I've developed like various businesses over the years because of that, just because of my creativity. I even launched a toy at one point. I've been involved with like the tech community as well. I'm a huge geek, a huge nerd, so kind of like mixing all of those things together just made sense in my brain. But now looking back at it, I'm like, I don't know, it's just like creativity and business just like always made sense to me. You know, it's very much, you know how they say like I didn't choose the thug life. It's like that, except it's I didn't choose the life. The passion life chose me.
It ain't easy. It ain't easy.
Yeah, but with everything now, as I've grown and developed, both as a person, an entrepreneur, business owner, and as a creative, I've learned through to workshop through all of those things and try to I guess, attack these passions with a little bit more strategy, a little bit more intention. Living intentionally is definitely something I I prescribe with my own life, is to live with intention, but not in a rigid sort of way and not by other people's intention. So it's very much my own. And I've developed ways to navigate through that passion and that heart. And I mean, remember that this is like, that's like my dad, right? And then, but like, there's like that analytical side of my mom, because she's very analytical and she's always like 5 steps ahead. And she's always thinking like, what's the worst that can happen and how can I prepare for it? And how can I avoid that from happening? Right. So I also have that part of me in me, that part of her in me. And I think that that definitely helps me to keep me in track and kind of like hold the balloon down from floating away. But for sure, that has definitely been like my passion, and my heart has definitely been my guiding light through everything that I've decided to try my hand at.
I love that. I know that we kind of talked earlier on a previous chat of ours that you are definitely in the community of creators. So like you see that there is this like massive gap between creators that are amazing at what they do and then there's creators that get paid for it. So like what separates them, like, or how can we, what can they do, what can be done, what are your words of wisdom so that, or maybe some insights, some thoughts, feedback on how that playing field could be a little bit more level to be fair?
I think that at the end of the day, it really depends on you as a creator and what your goals are. I think there are some people who they don't see like the creative side of content creation, and it is absolutely 100% just a business, and they're not really thinking about anything else outside of that. And I think that in terms of the creators who do want to get paid, but they also want to be creative, I think it's finding the balance between that and thinking about what your goals actually are, because it's so like a lot of content creation is in the control of the content creator, but the outcome can sometimes be very challenging to deal with. It's not always under our control. And so I think that it is crucial for content creators to really think about what is their end goal with content creation. Because if it is ultimately just to make money, it can be very difficult to follow that path if you don't have a lot of, I guess, to say like a business, like a creative business, like the just making content creation isn't going to get you just pure money. There is something that you have to provide, whether it's the video itself, your audience, or it's a product, a service, and it's not just one thing.
I agree, which is actually kind of bringing me into my next question for you, which is the fact that you've partnered with the big dogs, like the Toyota, Coca-Cola, like those are mega brands. Those are mega world global brands. What is your recommendation on how to approach brands, especially big brands, in a way that like is true to your integrity of your work, right? Because sometimes that happens. You get this great opportunity and then all of a sudden it's not all great when you're inside.
I think that's something that's really been helping me in the past couple of months, actually, because I've been thinking about this a lot. I'm thinking about brand partnerships as more of a long-term play. And I think that really helps with the crash out aspect that you're talking about,
Yeah.
because I think as creators, we think, and I'm generalizing here, but I believe that we think that we need to work with 100 different brands, and that every video has to be sponsored by another brand. Every piece of content is like another opportunity to get a brand deal, when really we should be thinking about how can we turn this into a long-term commitment, as opposed to, well, this is a business exchange and we'll just do a couple reels, some photos, some usage rights, et cetera, right? instead of thinking about it as a business transaction solely, thinking about it more as a relationship. Like, what are you as a content creator bringing into this relationship? Because it's not just, hey, give me the free thing, pay me money. It's not that. It's what are you bringing into the relationship? Like, imagine if you were gonna get married, or you got your boyfriend or your girlfriend, whatever. Like, what you can't. It's not one sided, right? And so I think that coming at it from that perspective, where you want to create a mutual understanding of what are the needs for the creator and for the brand. How can we make this work together? What is the best form of communication? Because there's different love languages, right? And just the same way, there's different forms of communication for businesses. Some brands work better through text, others want to do a Google Meet, others want to just do email, others talk through their lawyer. And so you kind of have to figure out what all of these criteria are in order to develop a productive relationship with these brands and with the creators. It's a mutual benefit. And I think thinking about it as more of a long-term play, thinking, well, I want to do the best job possible as a creator, because this isn't a one-off. Because if I'm actually doing my job right as a creator or as an influencer, then I'm giving this company enough traffic or enough customers for them to want to come work with me again. And in the same way, I should want to do an amazing job, get them people who will buy their products, buy their services, be a part of whatever it is that they're selling, because then I know that we're going to be married for a long time.
And that is also a little bit of job like security, a little like job security relief.
Yeah, definitely. And I say this as somebody who has, like, when I first started working with these brands, this was all back in the day where it was like the Wild West, and brands didn't know what they were doing. Creators didn't know what they were doing. It was just like a simple, like, hey, like, I do this thing, you do this thing. Should we like do something together? Like, that's it. There was no contracts. It was just like, the handshake was it. So a lot of mistakes were made, and a lot of missed opportunities as well, from both the brand side and the creator side. So I speak from those experiences, from having those missed opportunities, from having those partnerships that really were less than ideals, from having the crash outs where it was like, oh, this is amazing, and then it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
But I think that for anybody who's listening now, whether you are a brand and a business, who's looking to partner with a content creator, or if you're a creator, aspiring creator, then absolutely think about it from that perspective. Think about it as a relationship, as a commitment. You just swiped on a dating app. What are you going to do next? How are you going to turn this into a long-term commitment, not a one-off? This isn't a one-night stand.
I feel like we all were born with creativity. So now we're just given different tools to use. Needless to say, from your professional POV, what is one mistake, probably like the biggest mistake, if anything, that you see creators making when it comes to monetizing their work?
Oof. I think the first thing would be only having one stream of income. This is definitely not a career or a business where you want to rely on just one income stream. I think what most content creators do is that they rely on just the platform that they're on to get monetized. And so they think that Meta is the one that's going to pay them if they post on Facebook or Instagram or Threads. They wait for X to monetize them. They wait for YouTube to unlock the partnerships and to have the monetization turned on so they can get ads on their videos. When in reality, you want to diversify that income, and you can legitimately start making money from day one. you can start to create income for yourself and monetize your content from the moment that you start to create content and publish online and start to get followers, start to get an audience. Because as long as you can to start following you, then you've already started to build an audience, which means that you've started to create a list of potential customers. So starting to find out what is it that those customers are interested in? Why are they following you? Is this something that you can offer as a service, a product, a digital good? Like, what is it that you can start offering today? Because that's how you can monetize your audience from day one. And I think secondly, one of the biggest mistakes is not treating content creation as a business. I think that's probably one of the biggest mistakes that they make in terms of monetization. They think that this piggybacks off of the first one, which is just posting online and suddenly you'll get paid. But there's so much around it that building up a business acumen is so incredibly helpful in this field because that will already leverage you. It will place you above 40% of all the other content creators who are just going at it at a whim and they're not strategizing and they're not thinking about it with the business mindset. So if you do approach your content creation with a business mindset and you keep the number one that I just said before, and you keep that in mind, that combination is killer. This is how you can start to monetize immediately. And what I mean when I say approaching content creation as a business is being consistent with the content that you post, the way that you post, when you post, being consistent with your voice, listening to your audience, aka your future customers, and doing all of the legal steps. Opening up an LLC or a C corp. Like what are the steps that you need to take in order to open up your business?
Thank you for sharing that. I hope people took notes out there because you dropped gems. That's all I got to say about that.
These are all things that I wish I knew back in the day when I first started in terms of like monetization. Fortunately, like because of my mom, I set up my corporation like when I was 18 years old. So like I was already set up from the get-go just because I knew about that aspect of it. But in terms of like monetization and working with brands and having a product, having a service, like all of those things I had to figure out along the way because they were not things that were known. Now there's no excuse. Every YouTube video, every podcast, there's countless books out there that will outline all of the steps. There's no excuse for anybody to not take the right steps when they begin their content creation journey today. Back then, that was not the case. So,
Seriously, that's one thing that nobody can say from here on out is that I didn't know. You know what I mean? You have answers in the palm of your hands if you really wanted to. We live in a day and age of information is everywhere, you know?
yeah,
So,
absolutely. I mean, all you have to do, and I say this for anybody who's like aspiring, and then also the thing is that what's funny is that so many business owners have had to become content creators because of the fact that
mhm.
that's how they get leads, that's how they get customers. And so they don't really know what it is that they're doing. But I'll give you a tip. All you have to do is go to YouTube and then you look up how to be a full-time content creator in and then you insert whatever year it is that you hear this podcast and you decide to do this. And I guarantee you there will be a 30 to 60-minute video outlining all of the steps that you need to take in order to do everything correctly and monetize from day one.
Yes, I agree. YouTube University to the rescue. Absolutely.
YouTube you.
Yeah. Before we run out of time, because this has been such a juicy convo, I do want to shed light on Create IRL. So this is an events platform specifically for creators. What problem were you trying to solve with this?
Girl, I was lonely. Problem. Number one, content creators work in isolation. So many times I hear again and again, I'm so lonely. Am I crazy? Is anybody out there doing what I'm doing? Does anybody get what I'm doing? And when I first started Create IRL, this started as a community thing back in 2019. I needed creator friends. I needed to find friends. I had been living in a new city where I still didn't find people who were doing the thing. So I was like, you know what? They're not coming to me. I have to go find them. So it all started off with a conference, and I decided to go big. And so I was like, I'm doing a conference. And so this is how Create IRL started. And from there, I started to do little meetups here and there. It was really more of like a community thing. It was a thing that I was doing on the side just to network and meet some people and make some friends. Well, I made a lot of friends and I grew my network, and kind of like life happened. And so then this year, I was thinking about how, first of all, we have AI now. And this has been something, whether you like AI or don't, it's irrelevant to what I'm going to say next. It has been controversial in the space of content creation for the past like year. And so one of the things that's happening is creators, because all they really need is equipment and themselves and the internet. They don't really need to meet other people, other creators who are doing the same thing. Now with AI, we were sort of talking earlier about technology and accessibility and just kind of how things are a little bit easier. It is now more easy than ever before to be a content creator, whether you're doing it as a human or you are creating AI content. The threshold is basically gone, right? It's just like it's so simple to just get started today for most people. And so because of this, more and more creators are going to be finding themselves separated from the nucleus of what is the culture of content creation. And the combination of the ethos of content creation and creating stuff online, and then also the rise of AI, I see a future in which isolation is going to be the dominant trait for content creators. And I'm going to stop that from happening. So this is the goal with Create IRL, is to bring people together who are creating and who take content creation seriously, who have that business mindset, and who see the potential in content creation as a monetization vehicle, but also to grow a personal brand, to grow their business, to build an empire, to change their lives. Because my life changed because of content creation. And bringing these people together is so important for Create IRL, because there's such a power in having people in the room who understand what you are doing. And it comes from a mindset, an emotional standpoint, a business standpoint, strategic standpoint, because more often than not, creators, they don't have anybody to celebrate their wins with. They don't have anybody to workshop ideas with who fully understand. I know of content creators who have hundreds of thousands of followers. This is their full-time business. They're in the seven figures. And they'll say things like, I'm lonely. Nobody gets what I'm doing. I live in the middle of nowhere. I'm in a town of like 10,000 people. Nobody gets what I'm doing. And yet they're speaking to millions of people. And It's a wild idea that somebody can feel so isolated and so lonely in what they provide to the world, and yet have so much power and so much network and so much connection. It can mess with your head. And
Okay.
so I think that for Create IRL, we host events and we host experiences that are a little bit more engaging than your average happy hour or mixer. That's not what we're about. We're about doing experiential stuff. We love to do adventures, travel. We like to watch movies. We like to do things that can help creators to kind of step outside of their comfort zone, but also give them an opportunity to document the event, to be able to learn from other creators, strategize, workshop, and also document it to be able to share it with their audience if they want to, right?
Yeah.
To collaborate with other content creators while they're there. So this is all like it's in my mind, like my vision and my hope with Create IRL and our mission is to create the next group of creators who will be leaders. These are the people who are going to be on the next stage at TED Talk. They're the next ones who are going to be on the stage of your favorite conference talking about content creators and content creation. And we want to foster that environment for them to grow, to prosper, and to scale together.
That's beautiful. I love that. I love that. So how can creators get in touch, or how can they join? How can they be a part of this?
So the best way is probably to check us out on Instagram or any of the social medias. We have our links are all there. If you want to participate, you can sign up for our mailing list. It's notify.createirl.com. And that way we'll let you know whenever there's on an event that's near you or online as well. We host events online. That way we can foster those relationships and we don't lose touch throughout the year. Yeah, you can join.
I would love to join. And we'll also include all the links in the description too. So we'll have all of that. But to close it out, Romina, I have one question that I would love to hear your answer. Before I do, I just want to extend my gratitude for you and spending time, sharing space, opening up. Thank you very much for that. You're a very busy woman. I am very happy that our paths crossed. Shout out to Entreprenista. It's filled with incredible women and you're nothing short of it. And I'm grateful for your time here. So again, all of your info is going to be linked in the show notes. Everybody who felt compelled by your story or wants to follow and connect with you, all the info will be there. But my question for you here is for the woman that's listening right now that who is a creator or maybe wants to be a creator, maybe she's got the talent but not the traction. What's one thing that she needs to hear from you today?
I would say believe in yourself and take the first step that you feel you need to take today. Because ultimately, when you think about your life, you think about the things that you enjoyed the most, the things that bring you the most happiest memories, the things that made you proud. And if this is something that can get you to that level, then you're not going to regret it because ultimately what you regret is the actions that you didn't take, even the bad ones, right? Like someone didn't hold the elevator door for you. You wanted to say something, but you didn't. And then you think about it like the whole day sucks. Then there's like other stuff where it's like, I really like that guy or like that girl. Like, I really like that person. I want to go talk. And then you don't. And so you regret more the actions that you don't take as opposed to the actions that you do take. So my thing is always to just start because ultimately you can choose to not finish, right?
And just pivot.
Yeah. Not that I suggest anybody to leave stuff unfinished, but I mean, don't stop yourself from starting. That's worse. But thank you so much for having me, Vanessa. I wanted to say thank you because you said such nice things before. And I'm really, really excited that we were able to do this. I'm going to be in Southeast Asia for most of June. So, I literally leave in 4 days. Yes. So I'm glad that we were able to do this before I left. I was trying to do everything before I left because I believe in striking when the iron's hot. So if you want to do content creation, if you want to start that business, whatever it is that you want to do, strike while the iron's hot because you never know. You never know what's going to happen.
And that's a wrap on this episode of Hustle and Heart. If something from today's conversation stayed with you, share it. Send it to the woman in your life who's in the middle of building something and could use a reminder that she's not doing it alone. Subscribe to get notifications on new episodes. I'll see you then.